Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel, and look at this thing. I can barely fit this on camera. Does this look weird to you? That neck is like a mile long, okay? So this is a baritone guitar with a 28-inch scale length on a Les Paul style body. How cool is that? This is one of the latest guitars from Firefly, so you know it's going to be a good deal, like $210 for this thing. There are not very many baritone Les Paul style guitars in existence at all, and the fact that Firefly is making one for 210 bucks is pretty awesome. Now, in addition to it being, of course, like I said, the 28-inch scale length, which allows you to tune it much lower than you would normally tune a 6-string guitar. You can easily tune this down to the 7-string range, only it's not a 7-string guitar. But in addition to that, it has the rounded ball and stainless steel frets, and it has a beautiful set neck construction. Look at that neck joint right there. I'll give you guys a close-up of that. It also has a really nice belly cut. Look at this. So when you play this guitar, this guitar is super, super comfortable to hold, and with 24 frets, with that nice carved neck joint, you can still grab that 24th fret. On a Les Paul style guitar with that big block neck joint right there, even getting the 22nd fret is difficult, and getting a 24th one, you'd have to just tap it or something. But on this guitar, you can actually play it there. Now, for the demo on this video, when you guys are hearing the guitar, I'm tuning this down to a low B, right? So it's the same range that a 7-string guitar would be in, but of course you just have 6 strings here. Aside from the long scale length and the construction and the stainless steel frets, it's a pretty standard Les Paul style guitar, and a really beautiful one in the classic black and gold color combination. But you've got 2 volumes, 2 tones, and a 3-way switch, and a pair of humbuckers. Now, I took some measurements for you guys on this guitar, and it's a 43mm nut right here. And the width of the neck, of course, it tapers, it gets wider as you go down. At the 12th fret, it's 53mm, that's the width, right? In terms of the thickness, it's 23 on the 1st fret position down here. And it's, you know, it gets a little bit thicker, but so 23 is, I mean, it's not like a baseball bat Les Paul neck or something. It's not a super thick neck, but it's also not a super thin, like 20mm shred neck or anything like that. But overall, I mean, it's a very comfortable guitar to play, and you guys will hear in the demo, you'll hear and see how easy it is to play this guitar. Now, what about the weight, right? Because single cut guitars, especially with a full thickness body, they're famous for being a little on the heavy side, and then you've got this super long neck out here because of the longer scale length. Well, this is a big boy right here. This thing weighs in at about 9 pounds. Could be worse, honestly, but it's certainly not a lightweight guitar. Okay, with the long scale length and the low tuning, it's a pretty brutal sounding guitar. So let's get more into the demo. You can hear how it sounds. Now, real quick, a couple things. One is, I actually originally shot one of these videos where I did like the one take, unedited unboxing and everything, and then I got all done with it and realized that the audio had gotten screwed up on the camera, the audio of me talking. But I'd already taken it out of the box, and so I didn't want to like try and fudge that and like package it back up or something. So this is my review for you guys of this guitar. But the other thing I'll mention is, of course, you guys enjoy videos like this, checking out cool, new, affordable guitars, and also staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug this thing back in and listen to some of the wonderfully dark tones that come from this guitar. And of course, I'm using my Boss IR200 amp and cabinet simulator for the demo. That's about a $399, $400 piece of equipment. So the guitar is $200. The amp sound is about $400. There's no studio trickery or super expensive equipment that's making it sound better than it is or anything like that. Anyway, let's plug it all in and get into the demo. Okay guys, so let's talk a little bit more about this guitar. So first of all, it's a little bit, takes a little bit of, getting used to how big this neck is here. I get long, like big in terms of length. But one thing that's cool is, even though it has this long scale length, all the frets are further apart than they would normally be, right? But you don't really feel that when you play it. When you're doing a chord or something, it feels like you're reaching further out with your hand than you normally would. You can kind of notice that, but it doesn't create problems for you when you're playing the guitar. Like, you can still shift around on the frets, and I'm hitting all of the notes that I mean to, as if I was playing like a 25.5-inch scale length or something more standard like that. So there's no sort of like transition problems that you'll run into between a regular scale length guitar and then the baritone scale length like this. And certainly there's much less of a transition between the baritone scale length and like a standard scale length if you're doing 6-string guitars. It's much less of a transition between that and going back and forth between a 6-string and a 7-string, because we're getting all of the same lower notes that a 7-string guitar would get, only we're getting it with the baritone scale 6-string. So I prefer that. There's so few people that play 7-string guitar and actually use the higher strings and the higher frets. Almost everybody uses it for doing low riffs. So if you still want to have your 6-string guitar technique intact for doing all of your solo stuff, but you want to play down in that 7-string range, this is really the way to go. Now, there's some little details here that I really am kind of getting hung up on, and one of them is like the binding in the back of the body here. It would have been so much easier to not have any binding on the back of the body, but they have the binding here. It's a multiply binding, and the way this works is there's binding like zip, like right there. The binding stops because you've got this really nice smooth neck joint, and then it continues around the body, and then the same thing, the binding goes up to the point where the belly cut starts. It's gone there, and then it starts again. And just little details like that. That's one of my things that I just love about Firefly, is for the price of the guitars, you would not fault them if they just went with basic stuff. It's just like, I don't want to worry about the binding on the, it starts and stops. I don't want to worry about that. Just leave the binding off on the back of the body. And for a $200, $210 guitar, it'd be like, yeah, we understand, right? You don't need to go the extra mile when you're making a budget-friendly guitar like that. But they still do it. So yeah, I love it on this guitar. The neck joint makes a really big difference in terms of the playability of the upper frets. I just love that they do stuff like that. Now, I should also mention a few other construction things. It's a mahogany body, mahogany neck. It's a set neck, obviously, rosewood fretboard, and these are the standard rounded ball stainless steel frets that so many of the Firefly guitars and a lot of the other modern import guitars are getting these days. So many people love these frets. Now, if I'm looking for something to complain about, if I'm really nitpicking here, the thickness, or I guess the height, you could say, of the binding is kind of inconsistent. If you look at the thickness of the binding on the side of the neck, and then you compare it to when it goes around the headstock, it gets quite a bit thicker going around the headstock, and it even almost takes up half of the thickness of the headstock, which is a little strange. But again, it doesn't make any difference on the playability of the guitar. I guess, like I said, if I'm really, really nitpicking, I think it would maybe look a little bit better if the binding was a little smaller. And the other thing, again, nitpicking here, if we talk about the setup, I did not do any setup work to this guitar except I raised the height of both pickups on the treble side, okay? This guitar has a very dark tone to it, not bright, okay? Part of that is the lower tuning, but I think part of it is just the guitar itself. And so I compensated a little bit for that by raising the height of the pickups on the treble side of the neck. And yeah, it made a slight difference. But aside from that, I haven't made any other adjustments to the guitar. I didn't change the action or the truss rod or anything like that. Now, I've only had this guitar, I'm looking at the truss rod here. Looks pretty good. Very, very slight relief. I can see maybe about a half, 3/4 of a millimeter, something like that, relief. Not very much, very flat. But one of the things that you always want to do is when you get a guitar like this, take it out of the box, sure, tune it up, play it, all that stuff, and then just let it chill out for 2, 3, maybe 4 days, and then check it and see if it needs any setup adjustments. If you get a guitar out of the box and you immediately make setup adjustments to it, chances are, as the guitar gets used to the humidity and the temperature in your area because it's been shipped, it's going to shift a little bit. And so if you do a setup right out of the box, you're probably going to have to tweak that setup in a week or a few days. Okay, so you guys have probably noticed I have been doing a lot of Firefly guitars lately, and that is because they have been bringing out so much new stuff lately, and it's still like, you know, $200, right? Will get you just about any Firefly guitar. But if you go on over to the website, Guitars Garden, I'll have a link for that down in the video description below. Look at all the single cut Les Paul style guitars they have. They've got a ton of stuff right now. They've got this one. They've got the triple pickup, like silver and blue burst that I reviewed a few weeks ago, and I've got to stick around because I've got to tell you an unfortunate story about that guitar in a second. But they also have a really nice, like a quilt green that I really like. Maybe I'll get that one. And just all kinds of stuff, in addition to, like, you know, they've got double necks now and all kinds of other things. So there's a lot going on for Firefly guitars. Okay, guys, now the other thing I need to talk about is the last Firefly video I did before this one was a review, one of my, you know, unedited one-take reviews of this beautiful triple humbucker single cut guitar. Talk about a rock star guitar. I mean, this is such a cool looking guitar, and it sounds amazing as well. Well, I did the video, I shot the whole thing, and then I was shooting some close-ups of the guitar afterwards. And I had the guitar on a stand, and it was kind of a stupid thing. I had a stand sitting on top of the stool because I wanted to raise it up off the floor, and then I was getting some close-ups with the camera. The guitar fell off the stand and went BAM on the floor, face down, and you can take a look at the damage here. So it hit face down, it pushed one of the volume knobs through the body of the guitar, and it also snapped off actually the toggle switch as well. But that damage to the surface of the guitar is just brutal because that was such a beautiful paint job. It's like a deep flake, metallic flake paint job, and now it's pretty much ruined because I had to just do this bonehead thing and drop it off the guitar stand. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that guitar. I might just try and glue it back together and just get it as close as I can or something. It's one of these things. It's a $200 guitar, so if you take it to a luthier and say, hey, fix this and fix the paint, you know, that paint would be so difficult to repair that to where you couldn't see that it's been repaired right. It would cost way more than the cost of the guitar. So it's one of those things where it's just not worth it to repair it. At the same time, it's so annoying to have a guitar that's perfect in every way, except for this one thing that I screwed up. Ugh. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do some torture test with it, or I'll bury it in the desert. One of those things. I really haven't decided yet. Let me know what you guys think I should do with that guitar down in the comments section below. Okay guys, that is pretty much it for this video. As always, I'm going to have links for everything I was talking about in this video down in the video description below. I'll have a link for this guitar. I will have a link for the Boss IR200 amp and cabinet simulator, plus my new YouTube online course. If you guys want to have a YouTube channel, if you want to do what I do, you want to learn how to do it, learn from my mistakes, learn from my experience, check out the link below for my online course. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.